I'm really trying to break into male-dominated sports promo. Like, what are my chances? And she goes, yeah, not so much. You're a woman. And I was like, say what? And she said, it's not for a lack of women trying to create these opportunities for women. What happens is women, female producers, copywriters, all these people will get together for a brand and they'll create this great ad campaign or this great commercial or spot. And they'll have a woman slated to voice it. So they'll create a mock commercial. The woman's voicing it. It goes up the decision ladder of the company. And once it gets pretty high up, it hits a middle-aged white man. And he says, nope, like the concept, but we're going to switch out the voice for a man.
Welcome to Your Wordless Podcast, the space where we redefine success, self-worth, and transformation. I am Nick Nieras, the soul-centered architect of transformation, helping you unlock your highest potential and build a legacy beyond limits. Now, whether it is self-mastery, career breakthroughs, or wealth creation, this is where change begins. Now, let's dive in. What was it like growing up as a Christy Harst?
So I grew up in Ohio in the United States, and I grew up in a rural farming community. So not a ton of people, not a major city, if that makes sense. And so when I was 12, I decided that I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be a news reporter. And there wasn't a lot of resources around me to do that. So I joined public speaking competitions. I did everything I could to try and learn all the skills that you would need to be on camera. I ended up going to college. I played college volleyball. And I majored in broadcast communications. I worked at the campus radio station. I also interned. I had 4 internships, one of which was at MTV in Times Square, New York City. And it was there. It was there that I made the decision that I don't want to be in TV anymore. It's just not, because I saw what women had to do to be successful. And I wasn't ready to be that kind of person. It's difficult for women in that kind of world. There's a certain role that men want women to play. And when they go outside of that role, it becomes very difficult. So I decided, nope, I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. So I took some jobs, some professional jobs in marketing and PR, and they were all for nonprofits. And every day I drive to work and I would listen to the radio and I would hear these people doing these commercials. And I get so frustrated because I knew I could do it better. So I made a New Year's resolution and I got an agent. And that agent didn't give me one audition for an entire year. So, you're lost. So then I went and got another agent.
Wait, you paid the agent and they didn't
you don't
get
pay.
you?
No, you don't pay.
Okay.
So here, you only pay your agent if you get a job. So if you get they give you auditions, right?
Right.
And if you get the job, they take 20% of the pay.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So I didn't get one audition like all year. And so then I got another agent and I worked with them for 17 years. I booked national television commercials. I was in a movie with Sarah Jessica Parker and Dennis Quaid. I did a ton of like local and regional TV. I did a ton of just on camera stuff and then a little sprinkling of voiceover. And then I met my husband. We got married and we decided to have kids. And what we realized here in the United States, when you go to a 9-to-5 job, you have to have somebody take care of your kids. And we don't live near family. So it was going to cost basically my entire paycheck to send my kids somewhere while I went and worked. And my husband and I agreed that we didn't want someone else raising our kids. So I would stay at home. We built a studio in my basement and I started to do primarily just voiceover work from my basement. And that was 12 years ago. Since then, I have booked national campaigns. I've served as the national voice of John Deere, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with John Deere or your listeners.
I have heard of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Most of my listeners are in the States, so they would be. Yeah.
Good. I also served as the national voice of YouTube TV for a year. I do a ton of stuff that no one would ever hear. E-learning. I was the official e-learning voice for Sherwin-Williams, the paint people, Mars, the chocolate people, Delta Faucets. So there's a lot of different ways, voiceover actors can use their voice. There's lots of different genres. Just like out in the world, there's sports, there's tech, there's gaming, there's food, there's fashion. It's the same way with voiceover. You can put your voice to certain genres. And so my genres are commercial, e-learning, narration, explainers. And what I want to do and what I've been trying to do is sports promo.
How's that?
So Have you ever been watching TV, any network TV, or even listening on streaming, and you'll hear a voice say, "Tune in Friday for Dateline, where so-and-so and so-and-so do this Friday, Dateline at 9." Have you ever heard anything like that? Yeah.
Yes.
That's promo. And so if you look at even network TV, but also like ESPN and some streaming services like YouTube YouTube TV is casting major sporting events, streaming sporting events, where if you're watching those networks or streaming services, you'll hear a promo voice say, "Tune in Sunday to watch Rory McIlroy take on blah, blah, blah at the Pebble Beach golf tournament," like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do that because I'm a former college athlete. I'm a former head varsity coach. My kids play a ton of sports. We go to sporting events, professional sporting events as a family. And I just wanted to marry my passion for sports along with my voice, which I often get I get hired most for male-centric brands. So I was like, well, if I'm already getting hired for like John Deere and all these other male-centric brands in voiceover, why don't I combine sports? It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I spent 5 years investing a lot of my time and money into training, workshops, demos, and I did a ton of like out-of-the-box marketing. I did everything that people told me to do. I followed all the rules for 5 years. And I was starting to get frustrated, and I had an online workshop with a prominent promo LA agent, a woman. I read for her. I read a script or two, and she's like, "Yeah, booked. You're awesome, booked." I was like, "Not really. I'm not booked. I mean, for the past 5 years, I've been trying to know this happening." And I said, "I'm really trying to break into male-dominated sports promo. Like, what are my chances?" And she goes, "Yeah, not so much. You're a woman." And I was like, "Say what?" And she said, "It's not for a lack of women trying to create these opportunities for women. What happens is female producers, copywriters, all these people will get together for a brand and they'll create this great ad campaign or this great commercial or spot. And they'll have a woman slated to voice it. So they'll create a mock commercial. The woman's voicing it. It goes up the decision ladder of the company. And once it gets pretty high up, it hits a middle-aged white man. And he says, "Nope, like the concept, but we're going to switch out the voice for a man."
Hey love, it is Nick Nieras here, and if you've been feeling stuck, burnt out, or like you're meant for more, but don't know where to begin, I have got something for you. This isn't just about mindset work, it's about deep soul healing, subconscious rewiring, and remembering who you really are. Now, I created a free self-hypnosis audio to help you release the noise and reconnect your inner truth. In just 10 minutes, you will feel the shift immediately, I promise. And if you are ready to go deeper, explore my digital guides designed to help you overcome fear, activate your confidence, and find clarity in your next move. They are your next step before full transformation. But if your soul is saying, "I am ready," then apply for a one-to-one coaching with me. This is where we do the real work, transforming your blocks, aligning your life, and unlocking the confident, magnetic version of you that creates wealth your way. Head to the show notes now. Your new chapter starts with one small yes. Now let's get back to the video you're watching.
So I woke up the next day after that workshop and I realized I had two choices. One, I could give up and just go focus all my energy on my other genres, my other lanes of voiceover. Or since there's no door for me to knock on, there's no door for me to kick in,
I get you right now. Now you built the door.
I might as well build a door, and I'm going to bring a bunch of other women around the world with me. And so that's why it's called Building Doors. And so what I did, this workshop was February 9th or 10th of 2024. And I decided, well, March 1st is right around the corner, and that's Women's History Month. So let's launch for Women's History Month. So I partnered with 13 other women around the world, and we re-voice scripts that were originally done by men in male-dominated brands like sports, tech, cars, gaming, construction, agriculture. And what ended up happening, I honestly, I was just really, let's break it down to what it really was. I was pissed off. I was sick and tired of following the rules. I was done. And I was like, and this agent during that conversation, she goes, "Go make your own noise." And I was like, "All right, you want some noise? I'm going to give you some noise."
Oh my God, I love that. Shit, I needed that. Hi, I'm Nick Nieras, your host of the Your Worthless podcast. Now, if these real raw stories hit home, Don't wait, please follow, like, and subscribe my Spotify and YouTube. For bite-sized inspirational reels, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Don't wait, your transformation starts today. Thank you, and bye for now.
So it caught on. And I didn't think, I was just going to do a couple posts, right? I was just going to do, a couple things here and there, be done for March. I'm done on March, done. But people were asking for more, and it became really popular. In fact, that month in March, a woman did a spot for Valvoline Instant Oil Change. And it was originally voiced by a man. She revoiced it, and it was popular. So I sent a message to Valvoline on social media, and I said, hey, did you check this out? Did you see it? Because, it's pretty good. They reached back out, and we ended up having a face-to-face conversation. And I spoke with the chief marketing officer, who happens to be a woman. What I learned in that conversation is that the CFO and the CEO are also women. So the heads of this company, the major departments are all women. And so she said to me, Christy, until your campaign, we really never thought of voiceover as an opportunity for diversity. We just always, said, hey, this is the guy who normally does it. Give it to the guy. Let's go. So it wasn't intentional, right? Their decision wasn't intentional. It was just status quo. We got to get stuff done. For them, their focus was really putting more women in front of the camera because they want customers to pull in to get an oil change. And if they're female customers, to feel comfortable because there's another female inside. Yeah. Right? So that's what they were.
Yeah.
Who knows what they're doing? Yeah. So that was the focus, right? So they don't have to be intimidated by a man trying to upsell them or, so on and so forth. So she said, because of your campaign, we are now going to require our ad agency to bring us an equal number of men and an equal number of women voices so that we can hear all the voices on these potential ad campaigns. Now, for me, that's a huge piece of the door built because what we've done is we've created a space for a woman to be heard where she previously wasn't. And that's amazing. And so if you take some hypotheticals from that situation, let's say Valvoline has their ad agency come in and present the year's campaign to them. And they're in a conference room and they have now listened to 6 spots. 3 of them were voiced by men and 3 of them are voiced by women. Everyone sits around the table and says, you know what? Yeah, the male voice does work for this campaign. It makes sense. Okay, fine. No problem. I'm not asking you to hire women. I'm asking you to hear women. I'm asking you to listen to women. That's all. And so that's okay. Okay, fine. Great. You decide to do the man. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months later, here's what's going to happen. Another project is going to come across the desk of one of those people that was in that conference room. Maybe it's an internal spot. Maybe it's a social media ad. And they're going to say, who would be good on this spot is that one woman that we heard a couple months ago in that conference room. We have now planted the seed for a woman to have another opportunity where she previously didn't. Now let's take it a step further. Let's say someone in that conference room a year later leaves and goes to another job and goes to another brand and another company. They're going to remember that experience of hearing women versus men and likely institute that in their new job. So there's a ripple effect. There's a domino effect of what Building Doors is trying to do in advocating for brands and ad agencies to present and hear more women. Because what we know statistically is this. Globally, women possess 80 to something like 85% of the purchasing power in their home, which means women are the ones that make the decisions about what cell phone company to go with, what insurance, they research, what insurance policy. They decide what sports camps their kids go to. They decide where to grocery shop. They are the ones that decide where the money goes. So the question is, if the NFL, if their fan base is 54% female, why in the last Super Bowl were 85% of all ads and promos voiced by men?
Are in men.
So what we're doing is, what we're noticing with the data that I'm collecting and researching is that brands are missing out on potentially billions of dollars by not simply including more women in front of and behind the camera. They're leaving billions of dollars on the table. And there's a huge opportunity to rein in some of that cash by simply being more inclusive. I'm currently running a poll on women's advertising because there's a lot of research out there about women in front of the camera, but there's not a ton about them behind the camera, specifically behind the mic. And so voiceover is a niche industry, right? And then I am focusing on a niche genre within my industry niche, right?
Yes.
So I have this poll out right now trying to get the general public's viewpoint on women, their attitudes about women in advertising. And one of the first questions I ask is, do you notice when you're out and about listening to ads, whatever, do you notice if an ad is voiced by a man or a woman? Is it something that triggers you oh, it's a woman. Okay, it's a woman. 88% of the people who have taken this survey, and I have just about 200, 88% of them say yes, they notice. And I have almost even amounts of men and women that have answered the survey. So right there, just that little tidbit, right? Just that little piece should say to a brand, should say to advertisers. So we're leaving billions of dollars on the table by not including more women. And women have the global purchasing power. And 88% of people in this poll say that they notice right away if it's a woman's voice on a spot. It's not a puzzle. It's not even a puzzle piece. It's just a line. It's a line. Do this. So that's what Building Doors is really advocating for and fighting for. And how I do that is by having direct conversations with ad agencies and brands, because they're the ones that make the decision on who to go with and who to audition. Now, getting to those brands is difficult. Sometimes it takes me 9 Zoom calls to get to a brand. Sometimes it takes me 3. But the majority of my weeks and days are spent having strategic phone calls and Zoom meetings with people around the country and even around the world, explaining to them this mission and asking, who can you connect me with to get me to XYZ brand or XYZ organization or XYZ network? I was fortunate enough to have a conversation with one of the creative heads at Sportsnet, which is the #1 sports broadcasting network in Canada. And I learned so much. Like every one of these calls, I learned so much about what it's like to sit in their chair. And I think that's a huge lesson, is that until you start to have these conversations and understand what their challenges are on a daily basis, you can't possibly present solutions that would be helpful.
That's right. Well, first off, I'd like to say your voice is meant for this.
Thank you.
I'm just imagining listening to this podcast right now without even seeing that, those people, this is actually a video podcast. So your voice is made for this, Christy.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to go back to the part where you said when you interned for that broadcasting company in New York, like what was the pushback that you received then? And then you said to yourself, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm moving. Yeah. So
it was my senior year in college. I had like 3 months left until I graduated. I thought I was going to be in broadcasting. And so I go to MTV in Times Square for an internship. And what I saw was that, #1, and this is not news, women had to do more and to be better to get the same position. I saw a lot of mediocrity being celebrated in men in positions of power. And the woman that really made the decision for me, I think, is still one of the top women there. I mean, literally top 3 people in the entire company is a woman. And her office was literally like right across from my intern desk. And so I got to see every day what she did, how she acted, and who she was, and how she treated people. And what's unfortunate is that when you're working in what I know now that I'm older, right? But when you're working in a male-dominated space, and you're one of the few women, and possibly the only woman in a position of power, there are certain attitudes, there are certain things like how you speak to people. There's certain things that just take over because you have to survive. You have to keep your space and protect what's yours, what you work so hard to get.
Yeah.
I wasn't willing to be that person. I wasn't willing to do those things to be at the top.
Yeah.
And so that's why I decided to switch my focus 3 months before I graduated. So I was 12. So from 12 to like 20 something, I was pursuing this goal. And then I decided to scrap it 3 months before I graduated. But I think that's how the universe works. And I think, I believe in God, and I believe that's how God works. I spent 14 years in marketing and PR with nonprofits and city government and blase woo-woo. And I ended up getting laid off here and then fired there. And it's like, I think the universe is trying to tell me something. I was doing this side gig, right? I was treating on-camera work and voiceover as a side gig. It came super easy to me. Never got nervous. I was like, bring it on, whatever. It was so much fun. And it gave me a little extra pocket money on the side. Well, after so many times of getting laid off or fired, not because I wasn't good at my job. I think it was just, that's not where I was supposed to be.
Yes.
And God was like, why are you fighting it? Why are you fighting it?
You're so stubborn.
Why are you so hard-headed? It's time to go. It's time to go. And so I think, when I look back, it was the universe's way of saying, you're not fulfilling your passion. You're not doing what I put you on earth to do. It's time to start doing what I put you on earth to do.
Oh my gosh. I love that, Christy. And I would say to you, that I resonate. So, okay, hear me out. Last year, so all the while I've been in corporate, right? Now I have transitioned into my own thing. So again, I faced the same thing as you, but in this case, it was different. I was in consulting. Then COVID hit. Then I had this very, demanding job. Like everybody was scrambling, trying to figure out how to maneuver COVID while working from home, right? So, and I was like, okay, I was here, and I think I almost died because of, my head was pounding, pulling all-nighters every week at least. Yeah, exactly. And so I decided, it's like universe was saying to me, okay, enough is enough. I never imagined, just hear me out. The first year I got into that job, it was perfect. Within 8 months, I got promoted. And then the second year I got promoted again. The third year, it was the year that I got divorced as well.
Oh, that's a lot.
So exactly. So I thought that, okay, maybe relationship is not for me. Let me just focus on my career, because at the time I was flying high. So then COVID happened. So I was left with this grief. Like I needed to process it. So COVID, in a way, it was freaking painful because I was by myself after, 9 years of not being alone. And then bam, you're by yourself with no contact with the, outside world, so to say. And then that happened. So I switched it. I went into this own spiritual awakening journey. And then the second part of it, I said, okay, God, please, what do you want me to do? So I was scrolling and I stumbled upon hypnosis. I was like, okay, what is this? 2 years after that, at first I inquired, it was expensive to take up the course. So I was like, okay, let me figure out how to treat myself. And then, oops, sorry. No worries. Treat myself, and then let me see if I can help others, because I know there's so many people, they're still in bad relationship and bad, toxic working environment. They don't want to leave because of the pay and how prestigious it is, or the judgments that people cast upon you because you get divorced. I thought you wanted to marry this person in the first place. So these are all my narratives. So in the head. So after that, life humbled me in the best way possible, but in the hardest way for me. I got a job, okay, thankfully, but then it wasn't the job that I knew that I'm not gonna go far. Like there's no way I'm gonna climb the corporate ladder. So first, when I entered the corporate world, I was like, okay, I want to become this CFO, yada yada yada. So that's why I took accounting, and I was like, okay, no, this is not working out for me. So I had that a restructuring. So prior to that, first year, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this my best. Second year, I saw like there was this pushback from them every time. Now, coming from a consulting background, you want to give your advice, right? And you want to implement change. But people from the other side, when they're there for like 10 years, they're going to start questioning you. Like, what does she know? Like, why is she here enacting change? Yada, yada. So I got demotivated, and I was like, okay, let me figure out how to exit from this. And fast forward, I saw again, I was scrolling through my feed. I saw that same ad. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to sign up. So I did sign up. And then the company, mind you, the company had a restructuring, and I was let go. So it was like the universe saying, quit dicking around. You got to go right now. Because if I said to myself, I was let go, but right now, what do I want to do? Do I want to go back to the corporate, or do I really just start my own thing? And I've gained so much. The reason why I jumped into few industries is because I wanted to be able to have this, diverse experiences, so that I can actually provide that to whoever. So right now I found the purpose, and I'm like, okay. And I'm in the first year right now. It is hard. Like, and you've been in this for like so long, right?
So 1 year. Yeah. Well, no, I've been doing building doors for 1 year, but I've been a voice actor for 20.
Exactly. So, and my podcast talks a lot about self-worth, Christy, and your story is actually, pulled all of those strings that actually connected to your self-worth, your identity, and your confidence, right? And how you building doors right now. So if I could, I guess my question to you, what is that one thing or top 3 that people would need to know or realize how to listen to their purpose?
That's a great question. And I'm going to share a message that I heard over and over and over again. Right after I married my husband, we lived somewhere different, and we went to a church every weekend. And the pastor, he said the same thing every single weekend. I was like, oh my gosh. Every single weekend he would get up and he would say, you have a talent. You have something that's special and unique to you. There is something that you're passionate about that someone else isn't. Maybe you're an accountant because you love numbers. It excites you. Like Excel spreadsheets are like, whoa, you're catnip. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you are a sculptor and you create really great stuff. And he would go on. And he was like, do you know why you're that way? Because God put you on this earth because of that. God has a purpose for every single one of us. And to not live it out and be of service to others, you're denying why he put you here. So if you continue to fight, if you continue to not live and step into your purpose that he created you for and to be of service to others, then you're not doing his will and your life is not going to be that great. And so if you take my story, right? If you take my story, here I was doing things I was good at, right? But I wasn't passionate about it. And it didn't come easy. It was something that I had to work really hard at. And so I wasn't happy. In general, I wasn't happy. And now I look at myself and I'm thinking, well, I'm doing everything that comes easy to me. I don't consider what I do work. I come into this room every day and I have fun. I have fun with the scripts that I audition for, with the work I do for clients. I absolutely love advocating for women in my industry. It's something that I don't consider work. I have a really supportive family that supports me in me working extra hours for this campaign. And so I would say, tap into what comes naturally to you. Tap into what people say, you should be a baker. Your stuff is so good. Or have you ever thought of, being a chef? This is really good. Or you tinker with wood and you can make a dresser out of some old wood you found on the side of the street. Wow, this is amazing. This is really great. Listen to that. That's the universe telling you what you should be doing. And it might be hard at first, but if you listen and tune in, a way will be made. You will be financially stable. And along the way, you're going to be inspiring other people to do the same, especially the kids who are watching you.
Like drop. Have you ever had moments where you actually went against your intuition?
100%.
And what happened?
I did it for 10, 15 years, right? I was in marketing and PR, but when you're in it, you don't know it.
Yes.
And when you're in the system. You don't know. And for me, as a young person graduating college, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, whether you're graduating from high school, graduating from college, you're thrust into the workforce. How do I earn money? I can't live with my parents. I have to get an apartment. There's bills with the apartment. There's food. There's a car. There's car insurance. Like, how am I going to pay all these bills? Mm-hmm. You're not thinking about going off and having a creative job, sculpting, or you need health benefits, you need money, and you need it right away. And so when you become entrenched in that system of, I have to have a paycheck every 2 weeks or I'm not going to live, there's no way. You're scared to get out of that. And I was scared too. And I've said it many times. If I had never been fired and laid off, I would never be here because I would be too fearful to leave that security of a paycheck every 2 weeks and health benefits. But it took the universe literally slapping me across the face, boom, 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 several times for me to say, okay, fine, I'll listen. Fine. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. It's not easy. I'm not rolling in money. I'm not we're not, wealthy people. My husband has a decent job. We get our health benefits from him and I earn money. I provide, I supplement my husband's income. Some months are harder than others. I'm not rolling in it, right? Mm-hmm. But I am a better mom. I am a better wife. I am a better friend. I'm a better daughter because I am every day waking up and doing something that I'm happy about and I feel I'm meant to do. Just take, for example, I don't know how it is in your country, but here in the United States, there are a lot of people who have a job to have a job. They go into that job. They hate that job. They're miserable at that job. They hate the people at that job. They hate doing the job. Then they come home and they immediately go to a bar. They immediately start drinking. They come home and yell at their family. All they want to do is be alone. They want to go, you know what I mean? There is an effect to that goes from that person to that person's spouse, that person's family, that person's extended family, that person's social circle. It affects everything. And I firmly believe that if people took some time to really think about what they're good at, what comes naturally, and listen and then start to pursue that, maybe not even as a full-time job, but maybe as a part-time job, or maybe in addition to, the world would be a better place.
Yes. It's because when you hate your job, you go, it's a vicious cycle, right? You hate your job, you wake up, you dread going to the job, and then you do it because of the money. And then at the end of the month or at the end of the week, you buy, things you want to just daily, you want to self-medicate with
whatever. Retail
and then
therapy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you buy all those things because you want to reward yourself for working so hard against, it's your choice, against the universe, what is actually asking you to do in the first place. Because why? We're too fearful, societal conditioning, programming, that if you don't do this, you will starve. But haven't you imagined, this is just for those listening, and also you, Chrissy, the moment you know something that you're meant to do, you will be provided for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Regardless of how. Yeah, because I always have this belief within myself. So if God puts something in your head, there is a reason why you have that vision. Others don't see it. Others don't have it because they have theirs. But it is up to them to listen to it and to
100%.
And I know somebody listening to this, they might say, oh, it's easier for her to say that. It's easier said than done, but it can be done. And a lot of people have walked through that path. And for me, I can say that I'm in the thick of it right now, 1 year in. And of course, me talking to you, I'm still promoting myself out there, just transitioning from a podcast now to a business owner. Now that's a rebranding, right? Not totally, but then, yeah, people have seen me for so many years as, an accountant, and suddenly a podcast. Okay. And now she's a business owner. Okay, Nick. So, the point of me saying this is it's okay. Life doesn't stop wherever you are right now. I'm in my 30s, so it doesn't stop here. And it doesn't even stop when you're 40, 45. You're allowed to pivot,
Yeah. I know women in my industry that pivoted in their 50s and 60s and are doing very well.
Exactly. I mean, look at, I'm going to quote Michelle Yeoh. She got her Oscar, right? At 60.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, don't let people tell you you're past your prime.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Christy, okay, that was really, really good story. Okay, building doors. What success have you had in the last year?
I'm so excited about how much movement we've been able to make, but there's so much more to do. I've had conversations, as I mentioned, face-to-face with Valvoline, and that was a huge piece of the door built. But after that, because they talked to me, I was able to leverage that call to get other calls. So I've had face-to-face conversations with the Cleveland Guardians, the Cleveland Cavs NBA team. I mentioned Sportsnet, Press to Play gaming company. Say I've had probably close to a dozen calls with major brands, including MLB teams, NFL teams, Super Bowl winning NFL teams. And it's been a huge learning experience for me. So that's huge. And this month, we're celebrating our 1 year anniversary in honor of Women's
Congratulations.
Right. So that's why, I'm so happy to be here. And moving forward, we are going to launch our live event series. We're going to have a LinkedIn Live and a Instagram Live every month. And it's going to be hosted not just by me, it's going to be hosted by campaign supporters and campaign participants. And it's going to cover topics that affect everyone, like mental health, how to run a small business, sports, women in sports, a whole bunch of different topics. And I'm super excited about it. It wouldn't be possible if the campaign wasn't as successful as it is. I'm super duper excited about what's happening, the groundwork that we're laying in 2025 for what potentially could happen in 2026, which is this. I am currently looking for global builders. Global builders are female voice actors who live in other countries, who see inequality happening in their neck of the woods, in their industry, just how I have seen it, and want to spread awareness about the Building Doors mission. I currently have two, one in Egypt and one in the UK. And these women are surrounded and are participate in a very vibrant VO community. So they have support there. And so what I'm asking them to do in 2025 is to have meetings, phone calls, networking events, and kind of lay the groundwork for what Building Doors is and why it's important and why we need more people thinking about that stat of 88% of people notice when there's a female voicing a spot. And then in 2026, if they do the work in 2025, they will be able to launch their own Building Doors campaign in their native language. Imagine women in Egypt, female voice actors in Egypt, voicing iconic spots from their part of the world, right? That everyone in Egypt knows, right?
Yeah.
But doing it in their native language. But it was a male and now it's a female. And if they've done the work in 2025, they'll have a built-in support system that really launches those posts and puts it out into the world. And so hopefully in March of 2026, we'll be launching global builder campaigns in their native languages around the world. And I'm super excited about that because inequality doesn't just exist in the United States. It exists around the world. And it doesn't just exist in gender. It exists in race and class as well.
Yes. Wow. I am amazed. I'm impressed by your mission and your vision. So right now, how many people that's in this movement of yours right now? Like, yeah.
So
where are they in the world?
I think that this is a great opportunity for your listeners to have a couple reminders of things, which is this. We are currently represented in 7 countries around the world, meaning I've had women from 7 different countries voice for me, right? Which means that they shared their posts. And so there's people around the world in 7 different countries that have at least seen something, right?
Yes.
We have a small but very, very engaged community online. You can follow us at Building Doors VO on LinkedIn and Instagram. And listen, we've only been active for less than a year on both those channels. So we're growing. But what I think is so important for your listeners to know is this. What I have come to learn about social media is that people are watching you. They are watching you. They may never like it. They may never comment your post. They may never share your post, but they see you and they're watching you. How do I know that? Because I will go out into the real world and someone will stop me and say, oh, Christy, I saw that post you last week. Are they even connected with me? No. Did they comment? No. Did they like it? No. I've had people reach out to me. For example, let's talk about this. The Cleveland Cavaliers, hugely, wildly successful NBA team right now. They're doing very well. About 8 to 9 months into the campaign, a representative from the Cavs reached out to me, a middle-aged white man, and said, I've been watching you on LinkedIn. And I want to put you in a room full of decision makers so that you can pitch Building Doors to them because I think your mission is important. He had never commented. He had never liked, nothing.
I just had chills.
People watch you. Don't think because you don't have 7,000 likes that nobody sees your stuff. If you stay consistent in your messaging and you show up every day living in that space, people will find you.
Christy, you're the message that I needed to hear today.
Keep going. Don't stop.
Look at that.
Seriously. And you're not the first person to say that to me. I've been on other podcasts where I have shared this message and people have said, oh, I feel like nobody watches this podcast. No, you trust me. People are watching. Maybe they only tune in for the first 5 minutes and then that's it, whatever. But people are watching just because you don't get likes. And I have a joke with my husband. He's from another country. I met him in Venezuela. And when he came to the United States, I had to warn him. I was like, people are always watching. They're nosy. There's always somebody watching you. Always. And throughout our 16-year marriage, that point has come up and he'll laugh and he'll be like, yep, everybody's watching. See, everybody's watching. I'm like, I know. Somebody is always watching. There's never not a pair of eyes on you. I don't care if it's 1 o'clock in the morning. There's always eyes on you. And you have to take that concept to social media. If you stay consistent, and that's a part that I think a lot of people don't think about or realize. And it's the hardest is consistency.
Yes.
It might be 2 years, right? It might be 2 years that you're showing up every day on social media and nothing. Keep doing it.
And then boom. Wow. Okay. Christy, I'm well aware of the time. We're 43 minutes in and I love talking to you. And this is also my takeaway or my mantra. One of my mantras. Don't look at the messenger, look at the message. So you're one of that. You are that to me today. So thank you. So, okay, Christy, we're going to pivot to a self-worth question because my podcast talks a lot about self-worth. Now, in your definition, how would you define self-worth?
You know, at different points in my life, that question would be answered differently. When I look back on when I had a lower self-esteem, it would be my self-worth was in my looks, right? When I look before I was married, I'd be like, my self-worth is I need a man. Like a man having, a family is what is going to define my self-worth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I know now at this point in my life, and especially the campaign, I've learned so much from the campaign, just so much. My self-worth is defined by my ability to be authentically myself in every situation. Because I used to pride myself on being one person at work and another person out of work. And I can remember my coworkers would hang out with me after work and they would be like, God, you're so fun. You're so different than you are at work. Because I thought I had to be a certain way at work versus out of work, right? And now that I'm older, a little bit more seasoned, what I realize is life is better when you continuously show up as yourself. And in turn, you're going to attract more people who appreciate you for you, who celebrate your wins, who want you to win, who help you win, and you're going to level up. And your whole definition of what your self-worth is changes. And what you realize is you are enough. What you realize is if someone doesn't like you, they're not meant for you. It's okay. Watch from afar. We don't need each other, right? And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just saying we don't need each other. You do you, I'll do me. And that's that.
Reach, mama, preach. Now, if you could create a quote right now, Christy, for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
The greatest source of energy is having pride in what you are doing.
Okay. I take pride in what I'm doing. I was just writing newsletter before this interview for my this week's edition. So I was just writing that. I was like, okay, today I just had this realization. Okay, because I'm a one person one woman show, right? Yeah. So everything. So for podcasting and not promotion materials for the business. So it's like everything is us. Now I had this thought, if only I have enough or extra resources to hire somebody to do my editing, then yeah. But mind you, I love talking. I could be here like in 2 hours, but the post-production of it, it's like, So it's like, but then if I reframe my mindset and say, hey, I actually know I want to do this and I love to do this, and just find a time, structure your time around when do you want to edit all of your podcast, your reels. And then now that you've gotten the hang of how LinkedIn works, and this is me talking to myself, go and batch it and schedule them. And then next tackle your podcast and batch them too. So don't ever beat yourself up because you don't achieve or you don't reach your standards. Like, I want this done. But you remember, you're only one person for now.
That's right.
Yeah. So what I've learned also being an entrepreneur right now is being graceful and gracious to yourself and compassionate. We all know that we want to get there as fast as we could, but take it one step at a time. So, wow, Christy, okay, how can people reach out to you?
I think it would be amazing if we could gain some more followers at Building Doors VO on LinkedIn and Instagram, at Building Doors VO, plural doors. You can check out our website, which is also at Building Doors VO. My name is Christy Harst, Harst. You can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram as well under that username. There's not many Harsts in the world, which is kind of cool. And please engage with our content, like, tag, and share. I think that the more people outside of VO that can get to know the mission will be inspired because maybe they're women who work in male-dominated spaces and they can see Building Doors as an example of micro steps that they can take to make change in their own industries and in lives.
I love it. I swear I've heard your voice somewhere growing up, or yeah, I swear to God. So, Christy, any last messages for our listeners today?
Thank you.
Before we close off.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Time is the greatest gift you can give someone because you can't get any back. So thank you very much. I really appreciate the space and the opportunity to talk about something I'm really passionate about and hopefully inspire others.
Wow. Thank you so much, Christy, to you too. So for our listeners, that is a wrap on today's inspiring episode with Christy Harst. Thank you for your wisdom and dedication to continue uplifting others. So for our listeners, this has been Your Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now remember, if you've ever felt worthless, you are not alone. Your soul chose to be here, to matter. And for that reason alone, you are worthy. A huge thank you again to you, Christy, and to all of you for listening. Until next time, I am Nick Nieras. Keep shining, keep growing, and always remember, you are worthy and you are enough. See you in the next episode. Thank you, Christy, for your time. And cut! Hi, Christy. How are you? Good morning to you.
Hello.
Thank you so much for saying yes to be interviewed today. I'd like to introduce myself to you formally and to all of our listeners listening to us right now. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, today we're going to talk about building doors, movement breaking barriers for women in male-dominated voiceover genre. So, if you'd allow me, I'd like to introduce you to all of our listeners today, and then we can get right into our conversation.
Excellent.
So, hello everyone. We have Christy Harst here with us. Christy is a powerhouse voice actor and the founder of Building Doors, a movement breaking barriers for women in male-dominated voiceover genres. With a passion for storytelling and advocacy, she helps brands harness the power of authentic audio narratives while championing gender equality in the industry. Wow. Welcome to the show, Christy.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Any chance that I get to spread awareness about our mission, I take it. So thank you very much.
Thank you for saying yes to be interviewed today. So first off, before we start all of this nitty-gritty things into what is voiceover, okay, I think I know what is voiceover, but first, can you share with us, what was it like growing up as a Christy Harst? Love this episode? Now, transformation doesn't end here. Head on to @holistic.lifestyle_with_Nick. That is on my Instagram. Or head on to my website, www.deniqueras.holisticlifestyle.com for more info on my coaching framework, which is the Worthy, Authentic, and Abundant Framework, digital guides, and my upcoming events such as retreats and master classes and workshops. Now, I also do intuitive readings where we get to check on your soul path. And if you're also wanting to check on your energy